The small town of Coldwater prided itself on being safe, quiet, and far removed from the storms of the world. Its single high school stood at the heart of the community, a red brick building wrapped in fields where children laughed, ran, and grew into their futures. Parents trusted it. Teachers built their lives around it. But beneath the autumn haze of football practice and gym whistles, something darker hid, waiting. It would be a dog, not a person, who first caught its scent. And in the bite of a single sleeve, a secret began to unravel, one that could either destroy Coldwater forever or save it. If you enjoy stories like this, layered with suspense, grounded in real human flaws, and echoing with the weight of choices, consider staying connected. More stories live in the shadows, waiting to be told. The wind carried the smell of cut grass across the school field that morning. Whistles blew sharp, and sneakers slapped against the cracked asphalt of the track. Sheriff Ben Calloway leaned against his patrol SUV, one hand on the leash of his German shepherd, Hunter. The dog's ears were pricked forward, restless, tugging at the lead. "Relax, boy," Ben muttered, running a callous hand through Hunter's thick coat. "We're just here for the demo." The school had invited him for Career Week, a harmless event meant to excite kids about futures they barely understood. He'd agreed reluctantly. His job wasn't about entertainment. It was about control, patience, and reading danger before it showed its face. Still, Hunter had always been good with children. The gym teacher, Coach Whitaker, clapped his whistle between his teeth and waved the sheriff over. A mountain of a man, Whitaker carried himself with the tired arrogance of someone who'd lived his whole life in a small town and liked the authority it gave him. "Sheriff Calloway," he barked. "Glad you could bring the mutt. Kids love it." Ben bit back his irritation. Hunter wasn't a mutt. He was trained, disciplined, sharper than most men he worked with. But he nodded anyway, leading the dog onto the center of the track as students crowded closer, some whispering, others pointing. Ben raised his voice. "This is Hunter. He works with me to track missing persons, detect narcotics, and keep this town safe. He's trained to respond to commands, to pick up on things even we can't see." Hunter sat obediently at his side, but his muscles were taut. His nose twitched toward the cluster of coaches, standing at the sidelines. Ben frowned. The dog rarely showed nerves at a crowd. The demonstration went smoothly at first. Hunter obeyed hand signals, located a planted backpack, laced with the scent of narcotics powder, and barked sharply when Ben pointed to a mock suspect among the laughing students. Applause followed each trick. But then, without warning, Hunter's head snapped back toward the sideline. His gaze locked on Coach Whitaker. A low growl rolled from the dog's chest. "Hunter," Ben said sharply. "Heel." The shepherd didn't obey. He lunged forward, pulling the leash hard enough to burn Ben's palm. Before the sheriff could react, Hunter clamped his teeth into Whitaker's sleeve. Gasps rippled through the students. "Jesus Christ." Whitaker roared, yanking his arm back. The whistle clattered into the ground. "Get him off me." Ben dragged Hunter back with every ounce of strength, shouting the release command. The dog's jaw unclenched instantly, but his body stayed rigid, eyes burning into Whitaker like he'd seen something the rest of them hadn't. Silence fell over the field. Dozens of teenage eyes flicked between the sheriff, the furious coach, and the dog that refused to look away. Whitaker shook his sleeve, his face blotched red. "That damn animal could have taken my arm off." Ben kept his voice even. "He doesn't bite unless there's a reason." Whitaker's eyes narrowed. "You calling me a criminal in front of the whole school?" "No." Ben snapped the leash shorter. "I'm saying Hunter doesn't make mistakes." For a moment, no one breathed. Then Whitaker barked a laugh too loud to be real, clapping the dust off his sleeve. "Dogs bite. It's instinct. You can't control nature. Sheriff, get him off my field." Ben led Hunter away, but unease coiled in his stomach. The dog was trained to identify explosives, narcotics, and human stress, heart rate spikes, sweat chemicals, things people thought they could hide. He'd never once gone for the wrong target. That night, Ben replayed the scene again and again. Hunter's growl, the lock stare, the bite, why Whitaker, and what had Hunter found that no one else could see? The autumn sun dipped early over Coldwater, washing the town in amber light that did nothing to ease Sheriff Ben Calloway's mind. He drove the back road slow, one hand on the wheel, the other resting on Hunter's head as the shepherd leaned between the seats, nose pressed to the cracked window. "You don't spook easy, boy," Ben muttered. "So why him?" Hunter's ears flicked, but his gaze never left the darkness rolling past outside. The radio crackled. "Calloway, you still at the school?" Ben thumbed the mic. "Left a while back, Karen." "Why?" Deputy Karen Rowe's voice came back sharp. "Principal just phoned. Said Coach Whitaker's raising hell about your dog biting him. Wants an official report." Ben clenched his jaw. "I'll file one. Better be airtight. Whitaker's got friends on the school board." "Yeah," Ben said, staring at the yellowing fields sliding past. "I know." By the time he pulled into his driveway, the sky had bruised a deep purple. He let Hunter out, the dog bounding across the yard before circling back, tail stiff, always on alert, always searching. Ben poured himself coffee, though he didn't need the caffeine. His body ached with exhaustion, but his mind buzzed with fragments he couldn't piece together. Whitaker's false laugh, the sweat at his temples, Hunter's teeth locked in that sleeve. He remembered his father's words, an old Coldwater deputy before him. "Dogs don't lie. People do." 2 days later, the whisper started. Ben heard them at the diner first, muttered between bites of eggs and burnt bacon. "Hunter went for Whitaker, right? In front of kids?" "Yeah, maybe he smelled something." "What, like booze? Drugs?" "Wouldn't surprise me. You know his temper." Ben kept his head down, but his chest tightened. Small towns thrived on gossip, and gossip had a way of digging until it found truth. That afternoon, Principal Gaines called Ben into his office. A tall, weary man with thinning hair. Gaines rubbed the bridge of his nose like the weight of the school sat there. "Sheriff, you've put me in a difficult spot," Gaines said. Ben stayed standing, Hunter at his side. Hunter acted on instinct. Instinct doesn't hold up in a lawsuit. Gaines snapped. Then his tone softened. "Off the record, do you believe Whitaker's hiding something?" Ben studied him. The principal's eyes were tired but sincere. He was a man who liked confrontation, which meant this question cost him. "I don't just believe it," Ben said. "Hunter knows it." Gaines swallowed, glancing at the closed office door. "Then you need to tread carefully. Whitaker's been here longer than me. Folks trust him." "Folks trust appearances," Ben muttered. The principal leaned closer, voice low. "If there's something wrong, if Whitaker's a danger to these kids, I need to know before anyone else does." The break came sooner than Ben expected. Hunter found it. It was after dusk, the high school parking lot nearly empty, when Hunter tugged sharply at his leash. Ben had stopped by to return paperwork. Hunter's nose pulled him toward the bleachers by the football field. "Hunter, heel," Ben ordered. The dog ignored him. Ben sighed, loosening the lead. "All right, show me." Hunter darted beneath the bleachers, growling low, before pawing at something wedged between the beams. Ben crouched, pulling out a black duffel bag. The zipper was half open. Inside lay stacks of small vials, clear liquid sloshing under the light. Syringes, rubber tubing, a crumpled clipboard with rosters. Ben's stomach dropped. Performance enhancers. Enough to supply half a team. He zipped the bag closed, scanning the empty lot. Only one person had access to athletes like this. Only one man could keep it hidden in plain sight. Whitaker. The confrontation came the next day, heat already building in the air. Ben found Whitaker in the gym office, the whistle around his neck, barking orders at boys too tired to meet his eyes. When the last of them shuffled out, Ben stepped inside, Hunter at his heel, the duffel bag thudding onto the desk. Whitaker froze. "Recognize this?" Ben asked. The coach's jaw flexed. "Not mine." Hunter found it under the bleachers, right where you like to stand and bark at kids. Whitaker leaned back, forcing a laugh. "Sheriff, you think I got time to play dealer? I run ball games, not cartels." Ben unzipped the bag just enough to show the syringes. "You're dosing them, aren't you? Kids. Teenagers. That's why Hunter went for you. He smelled it." The coach's smile faltered, but his eyes hardened. "Careful, Calloway. That's a hell of an accusation. Ben stepped closer, lowering his voice. You want to explain it before I take this downtown? For a flicker of a second, something cracked in Whitaker's face. Fear, raw and sharp. Then it vanished, replaced by cold resolve. You don't know what you're messing with, he said. Put the bag back where you found it, forget this, and we all move on. Ben's gut tightened. That wasn't denial. That was warning. Why? Ben asked, What's in this for you? Whitaker's lips curled into something that wasn't a smile. You think this is about me? Sheriff, you have no idea how deep this goes. Hunter growled, the sound vibrating through the room. Whitaker leaned forward, his whisper venomous. You want to protect this school? Walk away. Because if you don't, the kids you're trying to save will be the ones who pay. That night, Ben sat at his kitchen table, the duffel bag on the chair beside him. Hunter stretched across the floor. He poured whiskey into his coffee mug, staring at the evidence. Whitaker was right about one thing. This was bigger than a coach with mean streak. Supply like this meant money, protection, someone higher up shielding him. But Whitaker had made one mistake. He threatened the kids. And Ben Calloway had buried too many bodies in Coldwater soil to let another one join. He reached down, scratching Hunter's ears. The dog looked up, eyes sharp, waiting. We're not walking away, boy, Ben whispered. Not this time. Hunter's tail thumped once against the floor, steady as a heartbeat. The next morning, betrayal came knocking. Deputy Karen Rose stood at Ben's door, expression carved from stone. Got a warrant, she said, holding up the paper. Search and seizure. Ben's gut went cold. From who? Judge Porter. Signed this morning. On what grounds? Karen's eyes flicked toward the duffel bag sitting by the door. Anonymous tip says you're in possession of controlled substances. Ben's chest constricted. You think I'm using? I don't want to, she said quietly. But I can't ignore a judge's order. For a long beat, neither moved. Hunter growled low, sensing the shift. Finally, Ben stepped aside. Do what you have to. Karen searched methodical, avoiding his eyes. When she lifted the duffel bag, her hands trembled. Where'd you get this? She asked. Hunter found it, Ben said, under the bleachers. She exhaled hard, setting the bag down. Ben, do you know what this looks like? They'll say you planted it. Or worse. Whitaker set me up. Maybe. Or maybe he's just a cover for someone bigger. And if that's true, she trailed off, shaking her head. Ben studied her, the friend he'd trusted for years. Are you with me or not? Karen hesitated, torn. If I back you and we're wrong, it's both our careers, maybe our lives. Ben's voice was steady. If we're right, it's a whole damn school. Silence stretched, broken only by Hunter's low rumble. Finally, Karen nodded once. Then we need to move fast, before Whitaker knows we're onto him. But Whitaker already knew. That night, the football field burned. Ben heard the sirens before he reached the school. Flames licked the sky, devouring the bleachers in a roar of sparks and smoke. Students cried on the sidelines, teachers shouting, the smell of gasoline thick in the air. The bleachers, the hiding place, the evidence, gone. Ben gripped Hunter's leash, so tight his knuckles cracked. Whitaker stood in the crowd, arms folded, face lit orange by fire. When his eyes met Ben's, the smirk there was unmistakable. A warning had turned into war, and the cost was only beginning. Coldwater High smelled of smoke for days after the fire. Charred beams and melted metal twisted, like the bones of something ancient, something that had been alive and was now ash. Students whispered in the hallways, some crying, others inventing rumors faster than teachers could silence them. Sheriff Ben Calloway walked the scorched field with Hunter at his side, boot soles crunching over debris. The fire marshal's report was predictable. Axelrod confirmed. Evidence destroyed. No cameras. No witnesses. A clean sweep. Whitaker had played his hand. But if the coach thought he could scare Ben off, he'd underestimated two things. The dog that never lied, and the sheriff who refused to bury another secret in Coldwater soil. That night, Ben studied the duffel bag Karen hadn't logged into evidence. She'd risked her badge to keep it hidden, sliding him a look sharp with warning. One mistake, and we both fall. Ben poured the vials onto his kitchen table. Hunter sniffed each one, ears pinned back, hackles rising. Yeah, Ben murmured. Doesn't sit right with me either. He lifted the clipboard buried in the bag. The roster Whitaker had sloppily scrawled names across. Quarterbacks. Linebackers. Kids barely 16. Check marks dotted certain names, circled in red. Selected. Used. One name was underlined twice. Ethan Gaines. Principal Gaines' son. Ben's chest tightened. He thought of the principal's weary eyes, the quiet plea in his office. If Whitaker's a danger to these kids, I need to know. What would a father do if he found out his son was part of this? And what would a man like Whitaker do to keep that secret safe? Ben found Ethan Gaines 2 mornings later, alone on the practice field. The boy's skin was pale, sweat dripping though the air was cool. His hands shook as he tied his cleats. Hunter whined softly, pulling forward. Morning, Ethan, Ben said, keeping his tone even. The boy jumped, then forced a grin. Sheriff, didn't see you there. Late practice? Yeah, Coach wants us ready. Big game next week. Ben watched him closer. Dilated pupils, twitching fingers. A faint chemical sheen clung to his sweat. Hunter growled. You feel all right, son? Ethan's grin faltered. Yeah, fine. Ben crouched, lowering his voice. Listen, I don't want to get you in trouble, but if Coach is giving you something in a syringe, you need to tell me. The boy's eyes darted, panic flashing. I can't. Hill. Ethan. Ben's tone sharpened. Hill what? But the boy bolted, sprinting across the field before Ben could catch him. Hunter lunged to chase, but Ben yanked him back. No, let him run. He's scared, not guilty. Ben straightened, jaw tight. Whitaker wasn't just dosing kids. He was controlling them. Fear kept them quiet. Fear and whatever poison ran through their veins. That evening, Ben confronted Principal Gaines in his dimly lit office. The man's shoulders sagged as Ben laid the roster on the desk, Ethan's name glaring in red. Gaines's hands trembled. No, not my boy. Hunter doesn't lie, Ben said. I saw the signs myself. The principal crumpled, face buried in his hands. God help us. I thought Whitaker was tough, but I never imagined. Then you weren't looking close enough. The words came out harsher than Ben intended, but he didn't soften them. Too many people in Coldwater had looked away for too long. Gaines lifted his head, eyes wet. What do we do? Ben leaned forward. We expose him. Public, irrefutable. I'll bring him down, but I need you to back me. No more silence. The principal nodded slowly, broken but resolute. Whatever it takes. Whatever it takes came quicker than expected. That Friday, the gym filled with students for the pep rally. Banners hung from the rafters, the band blaring too loud. Cheerleaders chanting to a rhythm that fell hollow under the weight of what Ben knew. Whitaker stood at center court, whistle gleaming, grin wide as he hyped the crowd. A king in his kingdom. Ben stepped into the gym, Karen flanking him, Hunter straining against a leash. The music faltered as whispers spread. Whitaker spotted them. His grin froze. Ben's voice carried across the gym. Coach Whitaker, you're under investigation for distributing controlled substances to minors. Gasps rippled through the bleachers. Whitaker barked a laugh, too loud, too forced. Bullshit. This is slander. Hunter growled, ears forward, body coiled. Ben dropped the duffel bag at Whitaker's feet. Vials rattled against the polished wood. You think I'm afraid of show and tell? Whitaker sneered. That bag proves nothing. Then maybe Ethan Gaines will, Ben said, turning toward the stands. The crowd shifted as Ethan rose, pale and trembling. His father stood beside him, hand steady on his shoulder. Tell them, son, Principal Gaines said, voice breaking. Ethan's lips parted, voice shaking but loud enough. He made us take it. Said if we didn't, we'd ride the bench. Said we'd never get scholarships. Tears streaked his cheeks. He said nobody would believe us anyway. The gym erupted, shouts, gasps, chaos. Whitaker's face twisted, red with rage. Lies! That kid's weak. He'd say anything to cover it. He lunged toward Ethan. Hunter surged forward with a snarl, teeth snapping inches from Whitaker's arm. The coach froze, eyes wide, as the gym roared around him. Karen's cuffs clicked around his wrists. You're done, coach. But Whitaker wasn't finished. As Karen led him toward the exit, he spat over his shoulder. You think I'm the top? You think this ends with me? You don't know a damn thing, Calloway. There are people above me who'll burn this whole school down before they let you win. Ben met his gaze, cold steel in his voice. Then let them come. We'll be waiting. The trial dragged months, but Whitaker's empire crumbled fast. Parents testified. Students wept. Doctor confirmed the substances laced with dangerous enhancers. Behind a curtain of small-town pride, the truth spilled ugly and raw. And through it all, Hunter sat in the courtroom, calm, unwavering. The dog who'd seen what no one else dared. When it was over, Coldwater changed. Slowly, painfully. Trust didn't return overnight. Teachers resigned, parents argued, kids carried scars invisible to anyone but themselves. And Ben Calloway carried the weight of knowing he'd torn open something festering for years. One evening in late spring, long after the trial, he walked the quiet football field with Hunter. The grass was green again, the charred bleachers replaced. Children's laughter floated faint from the playground beyond. Ben sank onto bleacher steps, Hunter leaning against his leg. He scratched the dog's ears, voice low. You saved them, boy. You saw what the rest of us wouldn't. Hunter rested his head on Ben's knee, eyes soft in the fading light. The sheriff looked out over the empty field, silence pressing gentle, almost holy. For the first time in months, he let his chest loosen, his breath ease. The school still stood. The kids still laughed. And Coldwater's soil will hold no new graves. Because one dog refused to look away, and one bite had been enough.